violation of the protocols, and I was being threatened with weapons to my head and things like that. Are you a spy? They were just acting paranoid. No, I wasn't a spy. I just shoved him into the Stargate, and he went bye-bye. That's essentially what happened.
How did Majestic react after that to you?
Very angry. Very angry, including people with whom I'm the closest. Very angry toward me.
And how do they act? How does the Majestic act when it's angry? I guess that's what acts do work.
This July 4th, we have a question for creators. Are you actually free? Most creators think they are. Their platforms
do work. Haven't you been tortured? I mean, isn't this right?
I wouldn't call it torture, aside from the fact that I've been falsely imprisoned. That's torture. I was, for a couple periods of time, put at S4 in level 3 and basically told that's where you are for now.
Level 3 meaning with the cell?
No, it was one of the rooms, one of the small suites, if you will, which were originally put in. There's 12 of them in a trident. There's 3 groups of 4. I was put in Bay Unit 1 over to the left. It was essentially, contained all the amenities. I could ask for food. Got anything I wanted. So I consider that torture. The other items or acts of unkindness from Majestic can range from everything from psychological unkindness, being rude to you, to being threatening, to being physically harmful. And I have been beaten. I have been slapped. I have been physically restrained, meaning handcuffed and beaten and slapped. They have been put under lights. Well, I have friends doing that to me. But I had, put under intense lights and while being handcuffed, as in interrogated. I have been told to shut my mouth to the point where 2 people grabbed me. One shoved me down on the floor of a garage, and the other one stomped on and broke my hand.
So, and these were the members of Majestic that carried out these attacks?
Yes,
Who
not
didn't hire someone?
Not the J members. These are operatives.
Operatives.
As in security personnel, yeah.
I see. So not the 1 through 12, but
no,
none
of them have laid an unkind hand on me. I have great affection, if anything, out of them.
But they were under order.
Show great affection to a pet.
Okay, so you were viewed as a pet by some of them, but you were also...
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
their orders?
I'm not saying I was viewed as a pet. I'm saying I don't know what they're truly carrying in their hearts, in their minds, and so there exists a possibility that affection can be granted either honestly or disingenuously.
You're basically saying that Majestic is operating as independent of the government. Is that correct? Or are they operating under the...
Yes and no. They were set independent of direct presidential authority as far back as the late 40s. However, there's more than one individual who has sat as a member of the 12 who are intimately involved with the United States government to include its highest levels.
Okay, those people were actually ordering you to be, as a result, let's say, of this sort of overstepping the line, pushing J-Rod into the Stargate. They were ordering you to be sequestered, to be beaten or harmed in some way.
By the time that happened, all the beatings happened prior to that. By the time that happened, there was basically, they didn't know what to do with me. It took everybody so by surprise. Me too. What it did. They didn't know what to do, and so they really didn't. I mean, I got hauled around there at the site for a while, and I got hauled back here to the U.S., but I was basically, after that, just told to go home. They didn't know what to do.
So is this why you've been released from Majestic, is because of this incident?
No. It was coming near the end of my time, my usefulness, basically, anyway, aside from being almost an elder statesman with them, because I'd been around for like 20 years. My physical condition has gotten worse, so I would not be of any use inside of a laboratory.
I understand that there's been some kind of adjournment. And now there's a new body, and it's not going to be comprised of the same people as the old body. So why? Why have they changed members? What's the motivation?
There is a switch over between two secret societies going on. One is handing reins over to the other, and it has been long planned. However, it's not been long known by me, but it's been long planned, probably decades. I'm certain it has to have been for decades.
So Majestic is ruled by a secret society, is what you're saying?
Well, Majestic has been the most famous, next to probably the Freemasons, secret society of itself. And there are many of the Freemasons who inhabit the Majestic as a consequence of their relationships. The two things are happening at the same time. And so their philosophies then, the philosophies of these associated secret societies like the Scottish Rite and the York Rite are then imparted into the secret society known as the Majestic.
So what's the quarrel between...
You should bring who you are to wherever you are.
Creating a website can be complex. Choose Hostinger, a simpler place to host your WordPress site. You'll love the quick access, intuitive control panel, and its sleek design. The built-in plugin scanner detects security flaws in real time and patches them to protect your...
Well, what's the quarrel between, say, the Majestic Society or group and the Illuminati?
That is a real good, and it's the best question to be asked. Many members of the upper echelon, and I don't mean the hard-working people who work on construction sites, for God's sakes, but many people who are in the upper echelon of the Masonic movement, both York and Scottish Rite, have accepted a philosophy which is Luciferian in context and history. Many of the people who are not directly then involved with the Majestic, who are also associated with that Luciferian philosophy, have rubbed up against each other for decades, probably even longer. So somewhere along the line in history, there was a schism between those individuals who have accepted the Luciferian history, Luciferian philosophy, mixed with other secret society people who have not, that ended up in the Majestic, and people who have accepted the Luciferian, almost like a different denomination, if you will, accepted a Luciferian philosophy, who are not associated with the Majestic. In other words, we've got dirty coins on both sides.
Okay. And when you say a Luciferian philosophy...
meaning a materialistic, and for lack of a better term, when it comes to the actual European Illuminati satanic philosophy, where they've given their lives, their families, their sacred honor to this satanic thought of creating a world order under the person that they consider the true God, which would be a Luciferian figure. Now, these people have also, separating them from the dirty coins in the Majestic side, these people have also been accepting of the influence of the P45 rogues who want to justify their own history by our demise of moving from timeline 1 over to timeline 2, a catastrophe. And so the differences between the Majestic group, some of which there have been these Luciferians mixed in, and they're not even really true Illuminati. I mean, that's a word that comes back meaning enlightened ones. And these people are not enlightened, they're simply under the influence of a false light. However, on the Majestic side, you have a lot of God-fearing people too. A lot, and I'm not talking about specifically here the 12. I'm talking about the lying people, the people that we've worked with. Good people to the bone, to the soul, who want nothing but good for the world.
So basically, what you're talking about is there seems to be an alliance between the so-called Illuminati group that is satanic followers, and the P45s, what you call the P45s, and the Majestic group, which, even though it has some members from the Illuminati, basically is siding with the P52s.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call them some. I would say that they are Freemasons who have accepted the Luciferian influence. In other words, I personally disagree with it. The Luciferian influence, but are still acting as good people.
For the benefit of humanity.
For the benefit of humanity, exactly. And then there are some that I have interacted with who are involved with the so-called true Illuminati in Europe that are God-fearing people too. There's dirty coins and there's polished coins on both sides. However, the dirty coins make up the vast majority of the group on the European Illuminati side.
Now let's get to the timelines and explain just briefly, since this gets over into the future and 2012, what the P45s, meaning they are from the future, 45,000 years ahead of
45,000 years ahead on a separate timeline than what we are presently on, or a timeline that we could transition over to from where we are now. If we are to accept that we transition, God forbid, from timeline 1 to timeline 2, they would be considered 45,000 years and 52,000 years, respectively, ahead of us. The individuals who dumped near Roswell, New Mexico, back in the 40s, were approximately 24,000 years ahead of us in timeline 2.
We're on timeline 1, I'm assuming you're saying. And we're headed for 2012 and theoretically a catastrophe that may or may not happen.
Right around now. Yeah.
Right around now. And this catastrophe, has this got anything to do with Planet X?
I don't know. There is the most honest answer I can provide you. I know a lot of lore about a rogue planet coming in. However, the material that I've actually seen on a repetitive crossing, if you will, of Earth with catastrophic influences happens not only because of a matter of physics, of rogue, and I don't mean this toward like J-Rod rogue, but rogue crossings near Earth asteroids or comets to precipitate the catastrophe. There would be, as we pass into the plane of Milky Way, some sort of energetic burst through the plane of the galaxy by virtue of wormholes that travel through the plane of the galaxy from the center of the galaxy, which have been depicted in ancient lore called the serpent rope, even of the ancients, and that the serpent rope would return at the time of the end of the Mayan calendar, revealing, and there are several perspectives as to what it will reveal. But that during this same time, the history of the J-Rods record, this burst will cause a disruption in the sun, and that concomitantly with energetic bursts from the sun and from the wormholes which would be passing through our planet, that there would be a disaster provoked by virtue of these time travel devices, the Stargate devices, and the time viewing devices, the looking glass devices, spontaneously turning on and directing an inappropriate amount of energy into the crust of the Earth, precipitating a geophysical disaster. This geophysical disaster, in accordance with the history of the J-Rods, record that over 4,157,000,000 died over a several-year period by virtue of a geophysical shift in the crust.
So this is what is trying to be.
I want to think of numbers. Right.
Is trying to be prevented. Is this right?
Yes. Very true.
And how is it going to be prevented?
Ladder, you asked how I got my book on Barnes & Noble as an indie author, so let me show you. So to do that, I used Ingram Spark, and I did partner with them. So if you use Taylor15, you can get 15% off your first order of 15 books. A lot of you guys already know what Ingram is, so it's nothing new, but that is where you're going to do the worldwide distribution for your